I think we're set.
We'll see. We'll see if we did the right everything. Oh, there it goes. That's a good sign. That means we're live. I just got to find us, but we're live. There we go. I'm getting the ad and everything. Nice job. Nice job monetizing the stream.
Thank you.
Well
Yeah,
done.
yeah. That's I don't even know how that happens, but I guess it's good for us, I'm sure.
All right. Well, let me just say I am in a hotel room, which you guys can see and laugh at my choppy video quality. Well, it's not so choppy other than it looks like I'm broadcasting from, I don't know, Mars. I think Matthew, was it Matthew? No, Matt Damon. Matt Damon had clearer images when he was sending back photos, or what was it? Videos of himself eating potatoes dipped in Vicodin because his ketchup ran out.
That was I've actually seen that movie or
I
parts of
have
it.
not, but I've seen that clip on YouTube.
Yeah, so I've seen that movie actually like maybe a year ago. I can't remember what it's called, but I do understand the
The
reference.
Martian, I
The
believe.
Martian. There you go. I do understand the reference for once.
All right. Well, yes, I am down here in a hotel. I am going to be doing a half marathon tomorrow that starts at 6:30 in the morning, down for the Virginia Beach half marathon. So there we are. No, I did not get a new mic, but I am not producing. When I am not producing, this does not seem to be a problem. So
Yeah. Wait, is your mic's good? Is that what they're
it
saying?
is right now.
Okay.
There's something to do with I think it's my OBS. I think there's some sort of sound gate that
All
is
right.
messing with things. But
I
we'll
was
deal
gonna
with
say.
that later because I'm not on air again until next weekend. So we're good. We're good. But let's talk baseball. Jake, we do have 9 games here. Let's see. I think we're waiting. Last I saw, we were waiting for Boston's lineup still. Let's see whoever else is out there. If you're playing that 6:10 slate, it starts in 5 minutes. Do not dilly-dally. Boston is indeed the one lineup we do not yet have, but we're going to jump on in here and start. Do you want to just quickly go game by game for the people at home?
Yeah, I haven't really talked about this slate yet, so
Oh, you have not. So let's do it that way. We'll go game
yep,
by game. There's 9 of them. There's a few that we're going to hit on, but there's some high level stuff that we can get through for each of them. And then we can do the usual questions or pontifications for the last half hour. But
perfect.
let me see. Our first one here is Miami at Washington. Steven Strasburg going to be one of probably has the best matchup on the slate. That's going to be the consensus. He is also one of the more expensive pitchers, just a tick down from Clayton Kershaw across the board. I have not yet made my lineups. I was waiting for Boston because they are going to be a big part of my evening tonight, much like they were last night. But I have been doing a couple hand builds on Yahoo. I didn't want to go full bore on Yahoo just because I only have one monitor down here, and it's my laptop monitor. So when you're used to having 2, all of a sudden when you go down to 1, you make mistakes a lot. So I didn't want to do that like I did yesterday, but I did win yesterday, so it's okay. But Strasburg, fantastic. I don't think we have to pay for him tonight. But if you're not paying for him, you're getting some serious question marks, Jake. Since independently you have not yet talked about this slate, what is your take on Strasburg versus the Marlins?
Yeah, I'd love to get to some Strasburg. I think great spot, obviously, against the Marlins. Right now, where I'm crunching, I crunched 1,000 lines before the show. Even when I don't juice the hitters up, I can't even get above the field. I can't even get above the field on Strasburg on DraftKings. Just an 11-2 pitcher is not someone I'm going to get to all that much tonight. So, going to be scary. Going to hopefully get, 15-20% of Strasburg in total on DraftKings. I do have a bunch of Strasburg on Fantasy Draft, which you guys should be playing. Rake free fantasy over there. But on DraftKings, it is tough for me to get to a lot of Strasburg, not because of the matchup, not because I don't think he's a great pitcher, but just because there are some very tasty bats on this slate.
Yeah, absolutely. The one place I am getting to Strasburg is I'm doing one of my 3 lineups that I have over on Yahoo is going to be anchored by him. But then I've got to pair him with Logan Webb. Now I'm still able to get in a few Coors Field hitters there, but that is needing several 7, 8, or $9 players as well. So it makes it a little tricky, and your lineups, frankly, don't look that great. But Gerardo Parra. is batting second tonight. He is $7, which is the site minimum on Yahoo. He is cheaper in most places, whereas he's 37 on DK. Oh, we just got the Red Sox lineup. Look at that, Jake. Look at that.
Pretty elite timing there.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to weather whatever the late scratch is, but Gerardo Parra is 2K minimum on FanDuel. That will allow you to do a lot of things. He will be popular, but he is batting second. And his walk-up song, are you familiar with the Baby Shark song?
I am familiar with it. There are a bunch of, I've got a little niece, so she's getting into those kind of songs now. And my girlfriend's got niece and nephew, so I'm very familiar with the Baby Shark song. What about it? Is that his walk-up?
That is his walk-up music. His daughter, it's her favorite song. Whenever it comes on, she starts bouncing, he said. So he, and I forget who it is with him, but they started doing this little silly thing where if somebody gets a single, they turn to each other wherever they are on the field and they do the little baby shark symbol. If somebody gets a double, they do, they have their whole thing. But that's now his walk-up music. At least it was as of like 2 weeks ago when I read the article.
I like it. Pretty cool stuff.
I thought it was interesting. All right, that doesn't get us many fantasy points, but it might. We'll see. But who doesn't laugh when they hear that song as their walk-up music? All right, nothing really to look at for the Marlins. What about Lopez? One of three Lopez pitching on the evening slate here. I'm not getting there. I've heard a few people say they're okay with it. I would just rather roll the dice with a couple other guys we're going to talk about. I think that highly of the Nationals offense. Not
wild about this Lopez. I might be getting to a couple of the other ones, specifically one other one. He's fine for 7,200. Like if you needed a guy in this range, when I last looked, I didn't think he was getting a lot of ownership. Search for Pablo. Yeah, basically no ownership. Like I think he's a good pitcher. He probably deserves a little bit of ownership, but not to where I'm going to be getting to him. I just don't think it's all that necessary tonight.
All right, game 2, Dylan Bundy. Hey, there's one of the guys I'm going to. Like I said, we're not going to be really thrilled with the pitching we're going to this evening. The second of the Lopi, that would be Jorge Lopez, is going against Baltimore. With regards to Dylan Bundy, he's 7,300. The price is right. 4.4 implied run total for the Royals. They don't have a ton of strikeouts, but they also don't have a lot of power outside of Jorge Soler, Hunter Dozier, and then I don't know. We'll combine Whit Merrifield and Alex Gordon into half of a hitter and Ryan O'Hearn half of a hitter. So they have 4 power hitters on their team. And I use that term loosely other than Soler and Dozier. So Dylan Bundy, the reason I'm saying that, has allowed the most home runs in the last 2 seasons. I think the next closest pitcher is like 9 behind him or something along those lines. So there is some risk there. He does better against lefties than he does righties, which is a tiny bit of a surprise, but still decent strikeout, just above average against lefties and adequate against righties. But it's where I'm going to end up going on the 2-pitcher site named DraftKings.
Yeah, I think Lopez, Jorge, a pretty good chance he is my highest owned pitcher on tonight's slate. So that kind of tells you where I'm at for bats all around. He's just 5K. He could pitch 5+ innings here going up against a bad team. Not like the greatest strikeout matchup, even though we think of the Orioles as a bad team. And they are certainly a bad team. They do have some power. They're not the easiest Ks in the world when you go through this lineup besides like Chris Davis. So pretty modest implied total here. It's under 5 on some sites. So Lopez is my guy for 5K, even though it does not feel comfortable at all. And then Bundy, 7,300. Did you say you were getting to a lot of Bundy?
I haven't run my crunches, but I'm suspecting I will have probably 25 to 30% Bundy would be my guess.
I mean, I don't think that's a bad call at all. So,
how many pitches do you think Jorge Lopez is going to go? 50, 60?
Oh, really? You think that little?
I don't know because he's gone 41. Wait, that can't be.
He went 63 on the 19th.
He went 63 on the 19th, and it looks like he had back-to-back relief appearances. One, he went 13 pitches, which just seems a little weird because then the next day he went 41. Prior to that 63, he was 44, 54. Okay, I'll give him 70.
Yeah, so I think 65, 70 is the magic number. I mean, and you hope you can get to 5. I think, um, you probably project him for less than 5, but it's
Probably
not
4 and a third, but a
right.
chance to get, because you get a 1-2-3 inning or something like that, and you're in business.
Right. All of a sudden, you have an 8-pitch inning, and you're in business. Yeah, exactly. So I think we're on the same page there. 65, 70 pitches, somewhere in there. You just hope he can survive. And at 5K, there's not a lot of great options tonight. So, there's never any great options at 5K, but he is one that's going to be an option, which you can't really say for some of these other guys. And, he's just priced in the tier kind of by himself.
Yep, that is the way to go there. I'm just looking at, I want to get to our popularity here. Someone open up the old Fantasy Cruncher. Of course, that comes in with Fantasy Cruncher Pro. If you've not signed up, you can use the promo code Live Before Lock. You can use the promo code Early Bird. You can use the promo code Deeper Dive, all one word for those, and that gets you 50% off any 1 month package on Osmo, including Fantasy Cruncher add-on, and not to the premium, but it does get the add-on. Let's see here. We do have the double header, so you'll want to make sure you are adjusting settings accordingly for that. You'll want to make sure you do have Sonny Gray in your lineups, and then get out the earlier pitchers if they are still appearing in your optimizer of choice. It looks like Bundy's coming in at 22.6. So for Winston out there, I'm independently came right around where the field is. I'm okay with that. I wish I was a little bit higher than the field, but I'm not surprised. Just because, as you mentioned, you're foregoing Coors Field and Boston if you're going to go with one of those top shelf arms.
Right. And so I will get to Bundy, I'm sure, a bunch as an SP1, like I will with a lot of these mid-tier arms. So that's worrisome in itself, but he's a guy that still has some strikeout upside. And, I think it's a fine price for Bundy for what he is at 7,300 in this matchup. You're not getting overly favorable weather here for hitting too, which is nice.
Yeah. So embrace the risk, accept it, understand it, and then just deal with it. It's like today I ran 70% Framber Valdez. That's not really working out, but I'm within hailing distance of breaking even because I also went against Framber Valdez. So I will have a couple. I will not full stack against Bundy. I will do some home run hunting or look for pairs. That I have no problem with.
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
All right, continuing along here to our next one. Some of these will go a little more quickly. Ronaldo Lopez against Dallas Keuchel. Keuchel better priced on Yahoo, in my opinion. I forget if he's 38 or 39, but I'm playing him on one of my 3 lineups there. Adam had an intriguing comparison with Dallas Keuchel versus Logan Webb being about the same when you consider park matchup. And then you get a discount if you want to go with Logan Webb. Neither are exciting. Neither has a ton of strikeout upside, but I did like that comparison. So we saw Max Fried do quite well against the White Sox last night. Remember, they don't have a DH. They're throwing a pitcher out there. That pitcher who is going to be hitting is Ronaldo Lopez, the third of our – all 3 Lopez. We've covered them. All 3 Lopez there in our first 3 games. I'll circle back on game 1 of that doubleheader in a second, or game 2 of that doubleheader. But I am okay with Keuchel. I'm okay with a handful of Atlanta bats. You are paying a lot to get Freddie Freeman. I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. And if you go with like Freeman, Donaldson, Joyce, you've got an average down stack on DK. If you go with Ozzie Albies, Danby Swanson, and Freeman, it's not too terrible either. Joyce is $10 on Yahoo, so there is some discount available here going against Lopez. Lopez is the wild card. He has had good outings. I think he had like 6 scoreless against Texas in his last start or something like that. But this is a tough matchup, so I don't want Lopez, but I'm okay with a few of the Atlanta bats, but there are other places I'd rather go. What do you like here? Any Atlanta stack action or any Keuchel?
Yeah, no, I think Atlanta bats are the most interesting thing here. So really fun Freddie Freeman spot. I love when you pay up for just good hitters in general. I'm always willing to do that. So 5,500 for Freeman. Well, it's not like he's going to be an okay value, not a great one, not one that's going to come up like some of these other guys. So I absolutely love Freeman as a one-off. I love Matt Joyce here. And then I like the full stack as well. As you mentioned, you've seen a big range of outcomes when it comes to Ronaldo Lopez. For the last couple seasons, he's had issues versus lefties, and Albies leading off at 4,300. There's your optimizer play, but I think the stack with Freeman is going to be a little bit under-owned. They're coming in fairly owned on the top stack tool, so I've got no reservations about playing Atlanta Bats. They're not my number one stack, but
It's combined. So the downside or upside, if you're looking at hitters, is there from that particular angle. All right, that double header. Sorry, I went out of order on this. We've got Sonny Gray, hat tip to Adam. He finally got the official Sonny Gray starting on a game larger than eight or more games with Sonny Gray above 10,000 or above. So he wins his bet that he made before the season. I hadn't realized that was a before the season bet. That made it that much more interesting, in my opinion, rather than Adam deciding to make the bet in May or June. It was preseason. So regardless of the fun that is, Sonny Gray, a little too expensive, tough-ish matchup here against the Cardinals. I would rather, if I was going to spend, find that $400 and get to Strasburg. So being honest there. Michael Wacha on the other side, he is going to be in my plans because he is cheap. I'm already sensing as I crunch, he will probably – I'm going to cap him at 20%. Jake, I just can't do it. But where is the field going to be? The field's going to be at 30. Good. I want to come in under the field, but he's going to be one of those guys that's going to help facilitate us getting the good hitters. So we can't just wave everybody off.
Yeah, so I get the ownership for Wacha. Don't think he's particularly good. However, he's necessary, like I mentioned with Jorge Lopez on this slate. I'm more apt to go to Lopez. I think they're actually really similar on our projections. In fact, let's see. Lopez. Geez, there's so many Lopez. I got to just sort by pitching to get all these players out. Let's see. Lopez. Yeah, Lopez and Wacha essentially right next to each other. I don't know. It's not pretty at all. And I think we've got the wrong price in for Wacha. You're seeing 5,700, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. On our projections, I think it counted the early slate.
It may.
Or I'm looking at the wrong. No, we've got 7,300 for Wacha. That's not true. So I was looking to see the value. But Waka's going to grade out as a really nice value. We just got ownership as I'm talking right now, so feel free to go refresh that for anyone watching that's a premium member. I'm just getting a lower owned Lopez, so that's why I'm getting more exposure over there when they project so closely together, and one of them is 2.5 times the ownership, or over 2 times the ownership. So no issue with Wacha. I think he's just getting a little bit over owned, whereas Jorge is getting a little under owned when they're essentially the same play, at least in Alex's projections.
All right, let me just look at a couple things here. Okay. For me, more or less, I don't want to go against Sonny Gray, but I'm okay going with a few of the Reds as a counter move here, depending on where Wacha ends up with the field. For me, my top choice probably would be Van Meter. He's a lefty, and he's leading off, and he's 3,900 on DK. Eugenio Suarez, 4,400. That's very reasonable for him. You have Aristides Aquino, who set the rookie record with 14 home runs in the month of August. A well-deserved 5,400. At that point, you're costing yourself someone from Boston or Coors Field. So differentiation is nice. Just realize the trade-off, and sometimes that is something we make a distinct decision to do in order to get someone that will be less popular on the slate. But those would be kind of the key three I'm looking at. In my opinion, I don't know that this is watered down, but you've got Sonny Gray batting ahead of Kurt Casale. You got Kyle Farmer in there with that lovely second base catcher eligibility, and then Jose Iglesias, who didn't start in the first game, but he's in there in the second. So not the worst matchup, but not for Wacha, but not the best either with those top 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah, just kind of an average spot here for Wacha in terms of Michael Wacha spots. So it's not any sort of slam dunk. I would like to, in some of my lineups, we talk about inter-lineup correlation. So depending on different outcomes throughout your portfolio, I think having some Cincinnati, at least mini stacks, like 2-mans with a couple of like mixing in the power guys like Suarez and Aquino. And you could even full stack this if you're getting to a guy like Strasburg and going against one of Strasburg's chalkier pairings. It's going to be a lot of Wacha Strasburg together. So stacking up Cincinnati with Strasburg, I think, is a pretty interesting idea to get some leverage on the field. I'm going to get 2-mans, like I said, 2-mans and 3-mans. There is some decent value in Cincinnati. By the way, that Adam, pretty sharp fellow with the Sonny Gray call, so good to see him getting paid off. He tends to have some good calls from time to time, and finally got his guy, 10-8 for Gray, but I don't think I'm playing a lot of Sonny Gray here. Like I mentioned with Strasburg, I'd love to get up to $400 more to Strasburg in a better spot, but not getting up to him very much, so not going to get to Gray very much.
All right, I'm just trying to set the filters here on our pitching so I can bounce back and forth from the different sites, and I think I have it set up. Okay, heading on to the next game, I guess getting back on track after we looped back for that game 2 of the doubleheader. We're into the 8 o'clock games here. We've got Seattle at Texas, continuing this series. 10.5 implied run total for the game. 5 going to the Mariners, who are taking on Brock Burke. 5.5 going to Texas, who are taking on a combination of Tommy Malone and I think Matt Whistler was going to be the opener there. Malone is fully stretched out, but it's always oftentimes you'll see them go just about 80 pitches if they are kind of that closer or that bulk reliever role. I don't mind him at his price point. I don't mind Brock Burke. These guys are right in there with Bundy on DraftKings. The reason I don't mind them as much is Burke did have a little bit of strikeout upside. He's not really displayed it here, but a little bit in the minors. But the Mariners are pretty lefty-centric with a lot of their hitters. So Malik Smith, Kyle Seager, Dan Vogelbach, D. Gordon. Now, Gordon's really never going to scare you other than when he's making awesome plays at second base. You've got Vogelbach, who's not good against lefties. Seager, I can't believe he's batting cleanup. He's had a resurgent season, but I don't really care or am worried about him. Same thing with Malik Smith. The guys I'm worried about would be Austin Nola and Tom Murphy. And my worry there is not a lot. We did see them combine for 3 home runs against who's that? Brendan McKay. A couple weeks ago, just as a reminder. So they do have the power. Those would be the 2 I would like. But come on, Dylan Moore, Tim Lopes. Yeah, these guys aren't really going to scare me. So that's where I'm with Burke. Now, you want to know that it's going to be nearly 80 degrees at first pitch and 60% humidity. So it's hot, it's humid, it's Texas. But those guys, this is how I'm looking at the grab bag that is pitching when Dylan Bundy's playing a large part in it. If you're going to play anybody from this game, for me, it'd be Nola and Murphy. On the other side, it would probably be Nick Solak, who's batting cleanup. He's kind of a young guy. He's kind of projects as an everyday major league player, which means he's amazing, but in the context of DFS, not so much. But he is batting cleanup and he's playing second. Elvis Andrus would be my second guy. I really don't like anybody else. Do you like anything from either side here, Jake?
I'm not. So while you were talking, I was filtering out my lineups just to kind of see. We're about 40 minutes away from lock, if I'm doing my math correctly. I'm not getting to either pitcher, which I'm glad to see. I mean, a little bit to unpack here. Both guys in the mid-tier. Both guys, I think, potential for some strikeout upside, but I'm not sure that either of these pitchers are the guys to take advantage of this spot for 7K plus price tags. I think if I had to choose one, it would probably be Burke, but that's quite a stretch for me right now. He's getting 10% ownership, so it's not like he's going to shoot up my my model or anything like that.
Yeah. And that's where I'm going to set these guys both at 10%. I've got Bundy higher than that. And we'll see what happens because you got to play 2 pitchers. So you can't, if you're saying I'm only going to play Bundy 30, I'm not going to spend on these guys. This is the dregs that are left for us. So they're going to be in our lives. So that is the fun of being a mass multi-entry. Let's continue along here because now we're on to Texas. Joe Musgrove, Tim Melville. Melville's been nice in the majors, not so nice in the minors. I really don't care about either one. He's going against the Pirates. They have a 7.4 implied run total. Play the Pirates. Joe Musgrove on the other side, there are some thoughts that depending on how popular the Rockies are, you could use him as a secondary pitcher. And then you would, if you're setting your optimizers correctly to say, hey, don't play anybody or just play one against your pitcher, you're not going to get the Rockies on those lineups. By default, that you're either going to get Pittsburgh, Boston, potentially Atlanta. That's going to give you double the leverage or differentiation against people that are not playing Musgrove and are playing the Rockies. So if he has an adequate game, that means that the Rockies probably scored 3 or 4 or 5 runs and they didn't all come off him, or even if they score 7, only 4 or 5 come off him. That's not the worst scenario. We've just mentioned a bunch of craptastic pitchers that are going to be the more popular ones. This is a route to go. I will set him at 10%. I'm curious to see where I'm landing on this. Adam and I talked about this both on the early bird and then on the DFS strategy show this morning. And he said, hey, look, this is a risky play, but this is how you see your name at the top of tournaments if things play out. He said more often than not, they're not going to play out. It's going to blow up on you.
Yeah.
But this is one way to get there.
No, I think it's I think you talk about range of outcomes. If Musgrove does well, that means Colorado probably is not doing very well. And a lot of people are playing Colorado tonight. So just for those reasons alone, you should be at least looking at Musgrove in your non-Colorado lineups, kind of get that reverse correlation with the field. And I like Pittsburgh as a stack better than Colorado anyways. So don't think it's the worst spot in the world outside of it being Coors for Musgrove and the massive implied total against. He can miss bats at times, and he's 6,600. Did you mention his ownership?
I did not.
On DK, yeah, under 5%. I mean, that's certainly doable for a guy that we've seen be okay. And it's weird because Musgrove's usually at 5K and mega chalk, and now he's 6,600 going into Coors. So I'm not sure what's going on with the pricing on Musgrove these days, but here we are. And yeah, I'm going to end up with a little bit of Musgrove. Nothing wild. Going to have a bunch of Rockies. They are not my number one stack. They're a top 5, of course. I think they probably are a top 5 for everyone. Just a little bit easier to fit in their lineups than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, you look at their pricing on DraftKings, it's really tough. But that's why I'm playing a bunch of Jorge Lopez tonight. It's because Pittsburgh is my number one stack.
All right. I think that is going to cover it. Again, just it's the usual suspects on the course or on Rockies that you want. Sam Hilliard is 41 on DK. He's jumped up. He is 11 on Yahoo. Play him for the block on Yahoo or to punish anybody that does not play him. I can't remember if it was Adam or Laffy, but one of them mentioned he's kind of a major league player, but he does have event stats, meaning when he connects, there are home runs. When he's on base, there are some steals. That's what we like. But there you go. Let's see. What do we have? 3 to go. Yep, 3 to go here. We've got, the Dodgers in Arizona. Roof will be closed for this rest of this homestand. Clayton Kershaw, 11,700. Strikeout rates are up. Adam went into some nice details on why. I will let you hear that from Adam or read about it, but that's the good stuff you get behind the paywall. We have Robbie Ray, who is a viable option tonight. He's going against a tough Dodgers team, but the Dodgers have they're below average collectively against lefties. However, they do have some of their better hitters in the lineup tonight. 2 of those are not Jed Jerko or Christopher Negron. Robbie Ray, this will be the 4th time he has faced the Dodgers. Jake, he's pitched 24 and a third innings. How many strikeouts do you think he has in those 24 and a third innings?
Against LA? 18.
34.
Whoa.
Yes. Will that happen tonight? We don't know. But wow. This just shows the upside that Robbie Ray has. I'm setting that on a platter for you. I don't know what else to do with it. I don't know that I'm going back for seconds, but there will be some Robbie Ray on the menu tonight.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some Robbie Ray on the menu tonight. Right now I'm coming in at about 17% on DraftKings. It's a tough matchup, but we see these good strikeout pitchers can overcome it and still allow a couple runs at this price and be okay. So I don't mind Ray at all for this price. The ownership's a bit concerning. It makes me want to at least look at LA on the other side because Ray has always given up a lot of hard contact. So it's not the worst guy in the world to stack against. Right now, not getting to a bunch of LA bats, but the guys that I do like are Kike at 4,200, just guy who's hit lefties well for his career. Turner 4,500, and then Pollock. But those are going to be the guys that get thrown in optimizers anyways. So I don't think there's a huge edge in playing a bunch of Dodgers stacks. Pretty watered down lineup, no Bellinger or Muncy.
Muncy's on the injured list.
Yeah, that's right. For the last few days, I think.
Yeah. And that's not more to correct you, just to remind people that don't be waiting for him if their lineup has an out. He's not going to be in it.
No, he's not. He's confirmed not in. No. I mean, I always want people to correct me because I always forget. These days run together when you're doing these shows constantly. It's hard to keep up sometimes, even when it's your boy, Max Muncy. Sometimes I miss stuff like that. So feel free. Chat's never shy about correcting me, but none of the lefties, the expensive lefties that I like playing against lefties, are in the lineup. And so for those reasons, I kind of don't have a ton of LA Dodgers interest and just slightly below the field on Ray right now.
All right. Are you ready to do some home run picks? We are at the halfway point. Do you have the sheet up, or do you want me to grab it?
I don't have it up. Let's see here.
I got it.
Get to it.
I believe we're still tied unless you got one last night.
No, the Twins scored like 30 runs, but I don't think Rosario donged.
Oh, we all had, the only guy that got one was Crone. We all had one of the guys that missed.
Oh, that's right. We all took Twins.
Did Sam Travis get one? The great Sam Travis against lefties.
I don't think he did. I could be wrong on that, but I was at the State Fair last night, so I wasn't keeping up on too many baseball games.
All right. Well, I'll fix that afterwards and see, because we don't want to miss out on Chris Rendon. But you are in the lead with pick percentages. I am a tick behind Josh. He is in second for pick percentages. And then Randone is actually ahead of Chris Spags in pick percentages. So, yikes. You have the lead. Who would you like to choose this evening?
Let me take Freddie Freeman.
Damn you!
He's like my most owned pick. So, you shouldn't have let me go first. I'd done this to Josh like the last.
No. But you're in first place, so you get to.
I suppose.
That's why I was talking about how expensive Freddie Freeman was. So you didn't want to take him for this free contest that we have.
Oh, I'm playing a lot of Freddie Freeman, so I'm hoping this comes through for a number of reasons. But yeah, I absolutely love Freeman.
All right, no home run for Sam Travis. That was the 15th inning. I woke up at 2 this morning and looked at my phone, and there was still a game going. Or it said I had innings left, so I didn't know if something had been postponed, and I didn't want to figure it out. But there we are. All right, we'll put in Freddie Freeman for you. You know what? Jorge Soler is going to be my guy.
Against Bundy?
Yeah.
Good pick. I mean, anytime you're going up against Bundy, you've got a decent chance of hitting a home run unless you're Billy Hamilton or someone like that. But, yeah, awesome pick.
All right. So we shall see. We shall see as we are on the field of honor. That was our little halfway point there. We're going to get back into the games. 2 to go. San Diego at San Francisco. Some intriguing pitching options here. You've got Joey Lucchesi and you've got Logan Webb. Now on DraftKings, Lucchesi is 91. That's expensive. FanDuel, he might be the best point per dollar play. Yahoo, he is at 38 or 9. He's right next to, and Keuchel's the opposite. So those were the two guys I've got on two of my 3 lineups. Logan Webb, I believe, on Yahoo is 31. He is 79 on DK. I like him on DK. I'm going to start doing crunches here. I'm just setting up my tiers contest. So I am not really excited to take hitters from either side here. Manny Machado is 11 on Yahoo. I like that. He's 39 on DraftKings. I'm fine with that. I don't mind if I end up with, a guy or 2 against Logan Webb, but who the hell is it going to be? Look at this lineup. Greg Garcia, Nick Martini, Manny Machado, Eric Hosmer, Josh Naylor, Manny Margot, Luis Urias, Austin Hedges, and then Lucchesi. That's not an intimidating lineup at all.
Yeah. Man, this one I'm torn on a little bit. When I first looked at this last night and started doing spotlight pitchers, I was just like, yeah, Lucchesi looks nice. 9,100 on DraftKings. And then I thought I would get to him a bunch on FanDuel. I barely got any on FanDuel. Not getting to him much on DraftKings, and that's because he doesn't have a great projection. I guess he doesn't go super deep into games. You've seen this total rise a little bit for San Francisco from what I saw last night. And even in this good park, I'm still not getting into a lot of $9,100 Joey Lucchesi. So a little disappointed there. I hope I'm not wrong in going with the projections. Usually not, but I was a little nervous to see very little Lucchesi in this in my crunches coming up. Webb, I think I'd rather have Keuchel on FanDuel than Webb. Keuchel is actually my highest exposed pitcher on FanDuel. 8,400, obviously a little bit different of a price tag for Webb here, but he's just kind of a whatever option. I do like San Diego bats against him as well. Where's Webb's ownership right now? He's not getting too much ownership, just under 10% right now on DK, but I still do like some San Diego bats. They popped up a little bit for me, guys like Machado, and all these cheap guys, Naylor, Garcia. They're not great, Nick Martini, but they are cheap. They allow me to get in some Pittsburgh bats, which I am very fond of tonight.
All right. On to the final game, the nightcap. Couple of lefties here. Well, I guess a trio of lefties. You have Josh Taylor as the opener. I believe it's still Brett Johnson coming in after him. And then on the other side, you have Dylan Peters. You have a 10.5. I'm going to say that again. You have a 10.5 implied run total. This game is in Anaheim. It's 75 degrees. There's a slight breeze of 4 to 6 miles an hour going out to center. It's 60% humidity. Yes, that's slightly hitting weather, particularly out there for LA, but these pitchers are all so bad. Bad. Dylan Peters is not good. And then on the other side, Johnson is horrid. This is your perfect counter move against Coors Field, in my opinion.
It is, and that makes me worried that I'm not getting to a lot of anything here. So this is the game. Well, I shouldn't say not a lot of anything. I'm getting to double the field right now on Dylan Peters, and I hate taking pitchers against Red Sox. Now, granted, that's only 10% on DraftKings just because he's cheap. He's one of these guys you can mix in. I think not a lot of strikeout upside, obviously, against Boston. Looks like they rolled out a pretty good lineup, bunch of righties. So I'm not really endorsing Peters, but he is a guy that I'm getting to. And then no real interest in Johnson. On the other side, Mike Trout's pretty good at baseball. So, just obligatory mention of him at 5,500. He's a nice pivot off of some Coors bats if he's not getting as much ownership as some of these guys. Always like him as a one-off. The Angels are cheap, but yeah, I am not playing bats from this game. There's just better spots. I like Atlanta better. I like Coors better.
It felt kind of cheap if I were to take like JD Martinez or Mookie Betts in this game, but I'm playing a ton of them.
No, that's not. You can change your dong pick to those guys. No. Fine.
We're going with Soler.
All right,
we're going with Soler. Once you make a pick, unless they're scratched, it's yours to keep. It's like buying a prize on a game show. But yeah, that I wanted to call up some of my numbers here. So against lefties, Dylan Peters has a 2 home run per 9, a 250 ISO, and a 380 WOBA. That probably against righties. He is a lefty against righties. He's just been killed. So I like that. I like that a lot. And then I'm not worried about whatever reliever comes in. So I think this is a good place to go for our games. SJM is asking, was I meaning bad like bad good or bad meaning bad? That's very funny. When I was a kid, I was down in California visiting my cousins, and they would always say, "Oh man, that's so bad," meaning that's very cool. And I didn't understand that because I was about 8 years old. And I'm like, "What do you mean? You're saying it's bad?" "Yeah, it's bad. You don't want that. It's bad. I'll have it." No, that's not what you said yesterday. You said bad means good, or cool, or whatever they were saying.
I can see how that would be confusing.
Yeah, I was 8 years old, so it's not like I had to discerning. You're not sarcasm is not yet developed at that age,
Yep,
or cool things to say, unless it's T4 tiny tot toilet talk. Yeah, your humor's not yet developed at that age.
That's right. My humor's barely developed at 24 years old, so I can't imagine how bad it was at 8.
Good times. Good times. All right. Let's see. Time to start doing some crunches. The various chats, you want to throw in some questions. Happy to look at those. Are you playing multiple sites tonight? Just the old.
Yeah. I'm kind of all over the place tonight. So, if you guys missed yesterday's stream, first of all, I think this is a live before lock show, so we are. I don't know if we're technically sponsored by Fantasy Draft, but just want to mention them.
This is a good call out. Yes.
Rake free fantasy on Fantasy Draft. The thing I love, and our friend Brick from our Slack, he is one of the top players in a bunch of different sports. He's super helpful in Slack if you ask him questions, and he posted a screenshot of his winnings, and it was multiple thousands of dollars in just a month. And granted, he plays a lot of volume, but it's not like he's playing a ton of volume. Because you can't on Fantasy Draft, at least in the MLB contest. Now NFL is going to be a little bit different, but in your account you can see how much money you're saving on Rake. Each day it refreshes, so each time you put in money in contests and you're playing Rake free fantasy, you're going to be saving a bunch of money, and I like how they track it for you. So I'm going to play on Fantasy Draft as much as possible. Not going to find anything better than Rake free in the industry. They've got some really awesome NFL contests. If you like 150 max stuff, me and Josh and EMAC do. And Adam is going to play as well, along with all the other guys, because everyone's going to be playing on Fantasy Draft. They've got this $4 150 max. They've got a $1 150 max for NFL Sunday. And that $1 is going to fill, I think. So I would just get your entries in. If you got $150 and you want to try it out, you got Fantasy Cruncher. Fantasy Draft doing some really big things. Would definitely suggest playing over there. And Brick so thoughtfully put it, if you're not playing on Fantasy Draft and playing any rake free contest, you basically just don't like money. So there you go.
Now let's explain how they can get in. So you buy a little subscription, and you can upgrade it at any time, but you can buy it on a week or a month of your dollars in play. So anybody can play up to $100 rate. Not a problem. $100 isn't going to last you very long, especially during football. Now, if you use the promo code AWESEMO when you sign up, you get what is our promo, Jake? Seven days to play $1,000
yep.
rate.
Promo code AWESEMO.
So promo code AWESEMO. So if you were to time that with week 1, that would be very helpful, because you could play week 1 contest. Say you signed up for that on Thursday or Friday, then you could also get into the contest for week 2. Because you'll be able to get in before they close. Now, you got to plan for this, but that would be one way if you're looking to do it. The other thing that's slightly different there is they do, when you deposit, to keep the churn down, because they're giving you these other options, they are doing 3% on your deposits. Okay, you're paying 3% on your deposit. Anytime you're using your credit card, by the way, we're paying 3% to 5%. Yeah, we get $1 cash back. The cost is going to the merchants. What's the merchant doing? Well, much like a tariff, they're passing it back on to the consumer. So it's not really free, and you're not really getting 1% back. You're just paying 4% instead of 5%. They're just not breaking out the invoice for you. But that's how it works. So don't get salty when you're like, oh, I'm not going to play there. They're charging me to put money in. You know what's charging you to put money in? 15.9% rake on all tournaments. That's charging you to put money in. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. It's such a better deal than what you're getting at other sites. And you can continue to play other sites, but put your money in on these any site that's offering rake free stuff. You should be playing there, assuming it's within your bankroll limits.
So now I'm getting the grammar, please. Is it tariff or tariff?
Tariff, I believe. Yeah, it's got to be tariff.
Is it apricot or is it apricot? Is it praline or is it praline? Is it harassment or is it harassment? Okay, there's some colloquialisms here depending on where you live. Just saying that as well. But yes, you can point that out, but it's not completely. Okay, we got some baseball to talk about here because I got 15 minutes left. Let's see. What was I'm not done yet. Is it you have a long road to hoe?
I've never used that expression, so hard for me to say.
Well, it's not, because you don't hoe a road. You hoe a row. It's a long row to hoe. Is it for all intensive purposes?
All intents and purposes?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that one I know.
For all intensive purposes. There's a lot of mistakes out there by people. I make my fair share. Absolutely. Do you hone in on something or do you home in on something?
Hone with an N.
Nope, it's with home with an M.
Really?
Yes, and I've been saying that one wrong from almost my entire life up until about 2 weeks ago. So I will work on Taref, Omar Sharif, but until then, there are different ways of doing things. Some are right, some are wrong. And if we all go wrong together, you can get a word added to the dictionary, like kerfluffle versus kerfuffle. They're now both because people say it the wrong way. There we go.
Long road to hoe. Wow, you're sparking up some conversation in the YouTube chat. You know how to get the people going.
Hey, but we still have 15 minutes, so plenty of time to recover. Just wanted everybody to get the blood boiling here. Just, we all feel alive now. We're all going to find our hill, stand on it, and you know what we're going to yell at everybody else? Get off my lawn.
That's right. Old man yells at cloud.gif.
Yes, that would be. Oh, and it looks like me. Yeah, there you go. All right, I'm uploading my fun stuff here into the old Fantasy Cruncher. Did we get any more updates?
I'm just kind of waiting. Looks like our last update was 6:29 Eastern for rankings. Last ownership update was 6:19 Eastern. So just waiting until I'm guessing we'll get ownership one more time in the next few minutes. And then we'll be good to go. So I essentially have my exposures ready to go. I am getting to some LA Dodgers bats. I didn't think I was, but getting to a few Dodgers. Pittsburgh, my number one stack. Then Atlanta. Then it looks like Colorado, San Diego. The Dodgers are coming up a little bit for me, like I mentioned. But nothing outrageous here. I think I would like a little bit more of your boys, the Kansas City Royals. Almost said Chiefs there. I do that all the time with the Washington Nationals and Washington Capitals.
Oh, that's fair. Caps and Nats, yeah.
Yeah. They're very similar in my brain. But I don't think I'm doing anything. Like, I'm not taking a major stand on a stack that's not being played a lot. I think my biggest stand is probably being well over on Pittsburgh and Atlanta. So two teams that are getting ownership, but teams that, well, especially in Pittsburgh's case, I think are going under owned.
All right, I'm just setting some percentages here. We'll give let's give 10 to Washington. Let's give 7 to Kansas City and Baltimore. Let's give 7 here to Atlanta. Let's just keep everybody else at 5. Let's go 20 to Pittsburgh. Let's go 15 to Colorado. Let's go 7 there to who's pitching? Kershaw. I don't want that. Let's go 3% Arizona, 7% the Dodgers. Let's go 7% to everybody in San Francisco, and then let's go 20% to Boston and 10% to LA. Now, the reason I'm doing this and saying what I'm doing is I'm making sure I'm going to get most of the teams in my first run of crunches. Start small and work up. You put everybody in at 10, you're going to miss some teams. I'm okay not getting some of my teams, but there's a handful of teams I want 2 or 3% of. That's how you're going to get them, is to start small and work your way back.
So I've been starting to do that as well with my stacks. So like today, on my primary stacks, I limited.
Did you learn that from me, or was this an inspiration on your own? I've talked about it before. Not that I've invented this, but just I don't have all the fancy stuff that you guys do.
Well, I just want it because I want my ranking system to have every team stacked. So like,
gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So like sometimes if you have it at 100 and 100, even if you're capping players, it'll still gravitate towards, maybe 5 to 6 stacks when I want to have like at least a few percentage points of the top 20 teams on a 15-game slate. I'm not going to worry about like Detroit with a 3.1 implied total against Verlander. If that beats me, it beats me. But like, I want any team with like basically a 4.5 total or more on Alex's projections to at least be stacked, just so I have that in my sheet and let the numbers that I have worked out based on correlation and projection and ownership for the entire lineup. I just want it to have the opportunity to see every stack and get filtered out as it may. So usually don't end up stacking nearly all the teams. It usually, especially on Coors slates, it's a lot of one or two of the Coors teams, but the idea is you get unique stacks when you account for all those things lineup by lineup by lineup. So correlation, I'm still trying to figure out how's the best way to do that, because all things being equal, a 5-3 is better than a 4-3. A 5-3 is better than a 4-4, and all that other stuff. But I do give a little bit of a bump to the 5-3s and 4-4s over the other stacks. So I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with that, but certainly a project to think about once I start getting sick of NHL in March and I'm yearning for some MLB.
What do you think about the Baltimore stack on FanDuel?
Yeah, I saw that one in Slack. They're fine. I would like to stack them more on DraftKings though, just because. And I'm playing Jorge Lopez a ton. He's actually my highest owned pitcher on DraftKings at this very moment. But I think you just want to play. Like Baltimore's not a top stack for me. So if I'm going to play him on a site, I want it to be a site where I'm getting some leverage on the field and Lopez is getting some ownership. So that's why I would like to stack them over there. You're also getting some more expensive parts. You're getting mid-tier prices on Mancini and Santander, Hanser Alberto, and then VR, the guy I like the most, is up to 5,100. So I do enjoy that on DraftKings more than FanDuel.
All right. I now have two of my crunches run. It's Dylan Bundy at 30, Jorge Lopez at 25, Waka at 20, Strasburg at 20, Ray at 20, Logan Webb at 20, Keuchel at 15, Ronaldo Lopez at 10, Brock Burke, not to be confused with Brooke Burke, at 10, and then Lucchese's just coming in at 7. I'm gonna have to live with that.
I think you can live with that. He just doesn't project. I'm assuming you're using the projections on the site. He just doesn't project all that well for us. So
if you have the opportunity to use Alex Baker, also known as Osmos projections, wouldn't you use those?
I would, and I do. So, I think you'd be crazy not to if you have a premium sub, or at least aggregate if you have another projection system that you trust. 2 great minds is better than 1. Depending on who you ask, I guess. I would just use Alex's alone for everything. Like I'm
fine using Alex. I understand the the aggregation, and I also understand the aggregation and then wisdom of the crowds. But if then you're going to put a randomizer on it,
exactly,
you're now creating a range. So that sort of defeats the purpose of trying to home in on good projections.
It still doesn't sound right to me, but
it doesn't, and I hate saying it. I looked it up, and there were more internet articles saying it was HOME than it was hone. They said hone is a sharpness, it's an edge, it's a knife, it's all of this. But you home in, you locate in. Where do you locate to? Do you live at home or do you live at home?
Yeah, when you say it like that, it does make sense, but it's one of those.
I don't like it either. So I don't want to be the bearer of this news.
I'll probably never use that phrase intentionally again. Like if I get to that, it'll just be a speed bump, and I'll just pivot and go to a different phrase. So
yes, I think that makes winners for everybody with that strategy. So.
It's hone in, I believe. SJM says something different. I don't know. You can find anything on the internet.
I went looking on this one because I want it to be honed in. I really, really, really do.
I do too. We just got ownership, so if anybody's waiting for ownership, we get the alerts, so we can alert you real quick. Looking at this is going to be the final run of ownership, I would imagine,
Yeah,
And
there's 8 minutes left.
yeah, 8 minutes. I got my lineups in, so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I got my lineups on a fantasy draft, FanDuel, DraftKings, everywhere. Strasburg is up to 37%.
That's fine.
So I'm just not getting a lot of these cheap values that are coming up on top because I'm not getting a lot of Strasburg. So like I'm not getting a lot of Tim Lopes or Josh Rojas or Solak, the guys that are the optimizer plays. I am getting a lot of Machado and some San Diego bats, but I love that we're just seeing mid-teens ownerships on guys like Bell, Story, Arenado, Nunez, like all the Coors bats. I don't think there's a single one that's a great optimizer play, and I'm over on like basically every Pirates bat. Absolutely love them tonight. Number one stack by a good margin. I've got over 20% of essentially everyone in that lineup, except for Colin Moran, but I'm still double the field on him, it looks like. I'm really pumped for this slate, man. Coors let me down last night, but
Did you get more Coors or Colorado, or did you get more Pittsburgh, and how close?
more Pittsburgh by a pretty good margin. Colorado, I would say, is probably like my fifth stack.
Okay,
Pittsburgh
I ended up
was
closer
number one.
than I anticipated, which is why I asked that one.
It was even a wider gap before, and then I think something happened on the ownership. Maybe some Colorado hitters came down, or Strasburg went up, or something like that. But yeah, it's Pittsburgh, Atlanta, and then a bunch of pitchers in this mid tier. I did get to some Ronaldo Lopez. I don't really like that. I'm, if I built my own projections, I don't think I would have him that high, but just relying on the ones on the site, like I got to almost 20% of Ronaldo, which is terrifying, but still ton of Atlanta stacks. So I've got some outs either way, depending on if that game has a high variant outcome one way or the other. And yeah, man, this is gonna be a pretty good slate. I'll go over my FanDuel exposures as well. Basically playing two pitchers, accounting for 90% of my ownership, Keuchel and Strasburg. And then the other guy I did get to was Logan Webb at 5%. No one else over 5% for pitching. So essentially two options over there. Getting some Pittsburgh bats, not as much. It's kind of jumbled at the top. Pittsburgh, Atlanta, some Angels sneaking into my lineups on FanDuel. The Dodgers coming in as some decent values. And then San Francisco against Lucchesi. Maybe I juiced my leverage up a little bit too much, but FanDuel is pretty easy. I just find making lineups on FanDuel not as interesting without the dynamic pricing, and it's essentially 4-4 or 4-3. But I don't know if you feel the same way. Do you like making lineups on DraftKings or FanDuel, or two pitcher sites? I think are just more interesting for me. What do you say?
Yes, I definitely prefer the two pitcher sides.
Yeah.
Sorry, scrambling here to get that list.
No, I can take over. I got all my stuff in, so I'm good. If anybody's got questions in chat or wants me to talk about whatever, if you got general questions, now's the time. SJM says Upton or Benintendi for cash fantasy draft.
I'd go Upton.
I will just go to the projections and take the guy whoever's higher, which is I think what you should do more often than not in cash. Let's see where Upton's at. Okay.
And I like Upton against the lefty. That
Upton.
Landing.
Agreed with the Upton call. I got to 20% Strasburg on DraftKings. That's not terrible. That's kind of exactly where I wanted to be, actually. So I love the nights when it works out. You get exactly what you want to get on your crunches, or at least how you envision it. Yeah, I didn't envision 50% Jorge Lopez, but I knew looking at his projection and ownership that I was going to get a good amount of him. So liking where I'm at. Alex in Premium Slack says, who would be your two main guys from Pitt and Colorado? They would be Reynolds and Starlin Marte. Those are my two highest owned Pitt bats on DK.
I would agree with those two. I don't mind Moran.
Moran at 6-7% ownership on DK. That's real nice. So I'm playing them all, but Reynolds, Marte are my two favorite guys. I do also like the Moran call. Upton
All
been
right.
so bad versus lefties, though. Yeah, but we've got a larger sample of him being really good against lefties in his career.
Yeah, this is a career look. I mean, who's were the guys that were not great? Wilmer Flores had a stretch where he couldn't hit lefties, and that's what he made his bones on back when he was with the Mets. He's back in form now. James McCann and Hicks, both formerly Tech. I think they both played for Texas at one point. They're with new teams now. They were kind of crappy against lefties for a stretch, but the broad base of their career, they've been better. They're good now. Tom Murphy's another example. Sometimes it comes and goes, and those are just all against lefties. I didn't mean to pick just that platoon split, but those were the ones that popped out the most in my mind that I could think of with regards to sometimes it just goes away. A lot of those guys are platoon players. Upton necessarily wasn't, but God, he's been with a lot of teams and moved around a lot. Mm-hmm. There was that whole mess with. What was he with the Padres? I think he was a Tiger at one point.
I think so. Yep.
With the Atlanta, it's been a mess. And then his brother forgetting completely how to play baseball.
Yep.
It's just kind of a whole mess there. So give him a little bit of a mulligan. Yes, he's on the downward slope of his career, but I'm okay against these two particular lefties he's going to be facing. They're both not good.
Agreed. In general, what makes a good cash lineup? That is just projection. You could also sort by ownership if you wanted to do that, but just play the highest projected lineup. Especially if you're playing low stakes cash games, you'll see a lot of poor cash lineups, I'm sure. So what I would do is just run it through an optimizer with no randomness and plug in the Osmo Plus projections on the site.
Absolutely. All right, here's where I ended on DK. 29% Bundy, 25% Jorge Lopez, 21% Strasburg, 21% Robbie Ray, 20% Waka, 15% Keuchel, 15% Webb, 10% Brock Burke, 10% Ronaldo Lopez, 8% Kershaw, 8% Luke Casey.
Nice.
There you go.
Sounds pretty good to me.
My hitters, Jacob Stallings, 31%, Sandy Leon, 12, Dom Nunez, 10, because I'm stacking those teams. Josh Bell, 17, Jed Jericho. Hey, the jerk store called. They're out of you. And it's Jed Jericho, but I like calling it Yorko.
Oh, you're the best.
Correct each other with pronunciations. Is it McPherson, or McPherson? There you go. Depends who you ask.
That's true. I see Seth typing in chat. I can only imagine he's trolling.
He's going to ask here. How sad I am that there's no Hunter Renfroe in the lineup. Sam Hilliard, 28%.
There it is. Go ahead.
Starling Marte, 29. What did he say?
He's trolling me. He says, I spent $20 in an ice cream stand and did not tip yesterday. The person before tipped $3. Can I count their money as my tip? He says I tipped too much because I tipped like $1 for a $5 ice cream one time.
Was it at Cold Stone where they were doing all the work, or were they just going down a
Stone.
crane?
It was Cold Stone. Maybe it was like $2 or something. It was. I guess I paid for two, so it was like a $10 trip, and I gave them $2. They were working hard. And
was it a girl or was it a guy?
I think it was one of both.
Oh, okay.
I
was trying to determine if it was a cute girl.
No. I think my girlfriend was with me anyway.
Well, that was going to be question 3 as the follow-up. So.
No. Nope. Nothing like that. But they work hard there at the one I go to. So especially during rushes, like in the summer, I feel bad for them. And they're always polite. So you got to give them the extra $1 or so.
All right. Well, with that, if you're still here, hit thumbs up on the way out. You're going to get the Live Before Lock show tomorrow. That'll be Josh and myself. I should be done with my half marathon about an hour before that starts, so that will be fun.
Nice. Good luck.
It'll be fun. Well, we shall see. Yes, I walk them, but I'm going to be walking as fast as I can for about 3.5 hours tomorrow. So, and we start at 6:30 in the morning, which means we'll be getting up at 5. I can't wait. I'll be going to bed here shortly. Any final thoughts, Jake? You can get us on out of here with your customized sign-off.
Sure. I guess I don't really have a customized sign-off, but yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks Fantasy Draft for sponsoring our Live Before Lock shows. They're doing a really awesome thing with Rake Free Fantasy, so go check them out. Use the promo code AWESEMO when you do. That helps us out. Obviously helps them out that you sign up. We got 1 week left of football. This time next week I'll be preparing.
1 week of baseball?
What's that?
1 week of baseball or 1 week of football? You said football.
One more week left of
Oh,
football until football. Sorry, it's gonna be wild. So we'll have you covered with content. Go check out the stuff on the site. Ben Raza, Nolan Kelly, Laffy, a bunch of guys I'm forgetting right now are doing really good work with putting out free stuff. Of course, you're gonna want to check out our premium stuff as well. We've got Alex Baker on the ownership projections, and we have week 1 projections out right now. I think they're still free to view, so check those out if you haven't. Emac's going to be writing showdown articles. Is that correct?
Showdown articles once again. I believe we're actually going to maybe do some showdown shows. Yes, really? I said shows. So right. Get ready for our release party of our schedule. It's coming soon.
So that's going to come up in the next few days, and just be on the lookout for that stuff. So if you're on the fence, now would be a great time to do it. We've still got that early bird promo code going on right now. I think it's $50 off if you buy the season-long package for NFL. But go check that out. And thanks for watching, guys. Emac and Josh tomorrow.